Hi, Monroe. I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to be able to speak to you today. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm good, thank you.
What incredible documentary. I mean, so moving, but also so inspiring. And it's just sort of breathtaking how candid you are able to be on camera. For people who haven't seen it yet, though, can you give us a brief intro? What can they expect when they go to see it?
Well, Love and Rage is 3 years in my life, but also, 3 years as our community faces consistent attacks in media and government. It's, as much about me as it is about the transgender conversation that has somewhat impacted us all. We're all expected to pick a side, and it's become a conversation that's become increasingly toxic when really it's impacting human beings on a human level. And we're now, living through that conclusion. We finished filming a year ago, and since we finished filming, things have gotten worse with the UK Supreme Court ruling and the EHRC guidance that came after it, which reads as segregation. So I hope that it gives context to why we're in this situation and also asks the viewer, like, where is the red line? If we can, see instances like and incidents like what happened to Brianna Ghey happen, and the murder of a transgender 16-year-old girl not be a red line or a turning point for us. What is happening here, and why are we not seeing each other with empathy? So yeah, I think there's a lot in this film. It's difficult to summarize it in a soundbite, but I hope that we all just treat each other with a little bit more kindness.
And of course, you've done so many interviews, you've spoken on so many shows, there's so much, in your work as an activist. So perhaps there are lots of different ways in to be making a film about your life, about your work. But it does feel like perhaps this moment of writing your book kind of triggered the idea. So maybe you can talk about a bit about the genesis of the project specifically and how you collaborated with Olivia to make the film that we see now.
Just serendipitous, really. We'd just come out of lockdown, and I was writing my book already. I got my book deal in 2019, and then we went into lockdown, shut down everything, and we just got this offer in. And I wasn't really sure at first because I am quite a private person, and I kind of like it that way. And I just kind of thought, actually, how many trans people get to tell their stories whilst they're alive, and how many major film studios get behind a trans person in order to be able to do that in a collaborative way. I was able to choose the director myself, and I chose Olivia because of her documentary with Andy Murray, which felt incredibly intimate and vulnerable. And I wanted somebody that was understanding, but also that I could go there with, that would encourage me to come out of my shell, but also push me, and but that would also understand and, be collaborative. And Olivia's incredible. She really just gets it. And I chose her because she gets it. She understands the subject matter, but also when to film, when to not film, and when to respect that I am a person before a subject.
I love the fact that the film kind of, balances so many of these really specific personal moments to you and parts of your story with this much broader conversation and weaving in kind of archive footage, interviews you've done, things that are going on in the media, plus, some recreations of your upbringing too. So did you have a lot of discussions about the kind of form it would take and what would be included, or was it something that kind of happened organically in the process?
A bit of both. I think it's important that I had a say, and it was important that I was listened to. But I think sometimes if it's a film of someone's life, you almost need to let go a little bit and work with an artist, and a documentary maker. That is Olivia's job in order to document something in a non-biased way. Sometimes you become an unreliable narrator if there's too much control over how your own story is told. So it's a balance. It was, the creative parts are incredible, and the young actor that plays me, Jaden Smith, is so incredible and looks so like me when I was a child. And Jazz Terry does an incredible job of playing me as a young adult, and she looks like me as well when I was her age. So it was really weird looking back, but it was a really welcome surprise. Actually, my best friend Reese King was really involved in the creative project, and he knows me better than anyone on earth. So for him to have an eye over the movement and how accurate it is to his best friend was a really welcome role that they made for him. So yeah, it was good. I think it's knowing when to step back, it's knowing when to get involved, and also just like releasing control a little bit.
And it doesn't shy away at all from, some of your really darkest moments. Did you have a most challenging point in the making of the film? Perhaps some of those interviews where, you did have to kind of really open
Yeah.
up in front of the camera.
I don't know, it was all challenging in different ways, like, yeah, I mean, I lost someone that I loved immensely halfway through filming. My ex-partner and friend above everything else passed away halfway through filming the documentary. And, going through grief whilst on camera is difficult because, grief is hard for everybody. And there's really no rule book for it. You just need to allow the feelings to pass through you, and you feel like you're going a little bit mad. You get angry or you get sad, and it will come in waves and unexpected moments. So I guess it was, in a general sense, the difficult part was just letting go of perfectionism, allowing myself to grieve, allowing myself to be imperfect, and recognizing that I'm not doing the film, for my profile necessarily. I'm doing it because I want people to understand the humanity behind being trans, and that what's happening in this country affects everybody. My life is not indicative of the average trans person in the UK. In a lot of ways, I've got a lot more security and privilege, but then in other ways, I'm much more of a target, a visible target. So um, I wanted to really just delve in and see what we found. And the uncertainty both felt scary and enriching. So, yeah, I guess the hardest part was just letting go. But once I found that place within myself, it felt like it was very rewarding.
And I feel that for every moment that we are seeing the struggle, for every moment we are seeing how kind of bleak it can be out there, there's these moments of joy too. I mean, particularly, your focus on Reese and this concept of found family, which, it's just incredible. And I think very inspiring to other people who perhaps don't have that ready-made network, but it doesn't mean that they couldn't go and find it. And then also all these moments where you are able to sort of turn what can seem like a negative situation into a much more positive one and kind of come from adversity, and just kind of articulating so well, I think, why it's important to have imagery in advertising, in fashion that represents everybody and how powerful that can be, because perhaps sometimes people aren't able to put that into words, why how important that is. So in that respect, what's the kind of feeling you want to have people to have when they come out the cinema in terms of that message of hope and inspiration?
Just I hope that people feel a little bit more open, and that, to think about how they share themselves. I think we're in this time where we're really encouraged to present ourselves all the time, present ourselves as authentic, present ourselves as vulnerable, present ourselves and allow ourselves to be consumed on social media consistently in a hyper present way. And it just feels like endless. Like, what are we endlessly giving ourselves to? And not just social media, but like the conversations that we involve ourselves with, the judgment that we expose ourselves to, the relationships that we have with each other. I think a lot of people will be taken aback by how little they actually knew me, and how this lets people in a different way. And I think there's something in that, we don't really know each other, even if we think that we do from social media. And, all of us have a private battle. And I've had many over the last 3 years that I haven't shared. And there's a lot of people that, I mean, it depends who you are and how you feel about me. Ultimately, I'm just one person that wants a better world. I'm not perfect, I'm a human, I'm a work in progress. I'm navigating this life like everybody else, and grief, pain, adversity, imperfection, resilience, picking yourself back up and going again is something that we all experience. And being trans is just one way of being human. And my life might be a little bit wild, but I guess it makes a good documentary.
And again, hopefully not too much of a spoiler, but it ends on such a high. And then I guess having this premiere at South by Southwest London this Friday must be like the icing on the cake. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, it's the first London South by Southwest, and South by Southwest is such an iconic festival. It feels like the perfect place to launch this film, and I'm really excited. I'm just excited for people to see it, and in a lot of ways, it feels like the beginning of a new chapter for me that maybe is ready to let people in a little bit more and not feel like in order to be strong you have to keep an arm's length from people. Maybe I'll change my mind and stay a little bit more private. But I don't know. I feel like to have that option and to share something that is encouraging us all to, get past this culture war and see the humanity in each other and to give each other a break as well. And also, I feel like at this time, I want other trans people to see this and feel galvanized, to feel proud of themselves and to recognize that we are all going through something in one way or another, but we have come so far as a community. And whilst the conversation about trans people has become so toxic, we have become stronger and more organized and politically literate and legally literate as a community. And we need to become closer to each other. So it's called Love and Rage because that's a strapline of London Trans Pride, which is the biggest trans pride in the world. So I'm looking forward to that in Pride Month.
And I think if there was a comment in the film, someone says you were radiating sunshine, which I thought was so apt. And I think, yeah, it's such a welcome injection of optimism in a world that can feel really sort of quite bleak at the moment. So I can't
That's
wait
my
for everyone else to
favorite
see the
part.
film.
I think that's my favorite part of the film. And it was my favorite part of filming. Writing that book was incredibly tough. It's what it's all about. So I'm looking forward to having similar moments, I guess, once people have seen this film and hopefully it provokes conversation. And I don't know, I want people to feel seen and just like not alone.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Huge congratulations on the film and really
Thanks,
enjoy your premiere
Sarah.
on Friday. Thanks so much.
Bye.
So nice to chat to you. Thanks.